every day now. It's a reality. And the global AI in agriculture market was valued at early 5 billion US dollar in 2024. In Europe, it's projected to exceed 3 US billion dollar in 2026 and 8 billion US dollar by 2030. These are unprecedented opportunities to exchange and enhance productivity, resilience, and progress towards the SDGs. Yet, uptake remains uneven. And 2025 Joint Research Center report on EU agriculture found a two-speed trend that I would like to underline. The basic communication tools are widespread, but sophisticated field-specific technologies reach only 3 to 23% of the farmers, constrained by cost, farm sites, and lack of training. FAO surveys in Albania, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Belarus tell a similar story. Even where smartphone and connectivity exist, actual use of digital tools in agriculture is just 1 to 6%, and uneven across gender, age, and farm sites. If digitalization is left to market forces alone, smallholders, women, youth, and rural communities risk being left further behind. And we will widen the very device we are trying to close. What is why today's event is built around the four connected pathways, I would say. First, enabling policies, the regulatory and institutional foundations that allow digital tools to scale and reach those who need them most. And several countries in the region, including Albania and Tajikistan, with FAO's technical support, have developed a dedicated national strategies aligning institutions, stakeholders, investments around a shared digital vision. Second, a digital public infrastructure for agriculture, farmer registers, land parcel identification systems, traceability platforms. These are the backbone of effective sector management and equitable service delivery. And FAO is supporting countries to modernize and integrate these systems from farmer to wineware registers in Armenia and Ukraine, for example, to pesticide information systems in Kyrgyzstan, to digital extension services in Albania. Third, the local innovation ecosystem, accessible advisor services, rural finance, applied resources, and engage the private sector and in communities themselves through, in particular, this super important project like the Digital Villages Initiative. FAO works directly with the rural communities to bring practical digital solutions into everyday agricultural life. And fourth, farmers, where it must all begin and the end, and policies, services, ecosystem delivery only when digital tools are designated around the farmers' realities and their readiness. That means usability, means sustainability, means local relevance, and putting smallholders, women farmers, and youth at the starting point, not as and after-truth. And these four pathways are not sequential. They are interdependent, and policies without systems remain on paper. Services without ecosystem go unused. Ecosystems that are not farmer-central exclude the very people they should serve. And to support this type of work, FAO Regional Office, in particular here in Europe and Central Asia, has developed the Agri-Tech Observatory that I would like to underline as a platform mapping over 1,000 digital agricultural initiatives across the region, helping governments, helping stakeholders make evidence-based decisions and connecting knowledge across the countries. Dear colleagues, dear friends, FAO strategic framework has set our direction, also in this crucial area. More efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems for better production, nutrition, environment, and life. Technology, innovation, and data are cross-cutting accelerators across all our work to deliver on these crucial four betters. With 2040 approaching, the window that we have for course correction is narrowing. And the SDGs will not be achieved without an agri-food systems transformation, and that the transformation will not happen without inclusive digitalization that reaches the last mile, working in local realities, is governed by the transparent public system and leaves no farmer behind. It's also an important question on democracy, in particular in the countryside, in the rural area, I think. And today's session is a contribution to that agenda, and I'm confident that our exchange will generate not only reflection, general reflection, is in any case important because we need to think together and reflect together, but concrete ideas that the country, in particular in the field, on the ground, and FAO can carry forward together. I thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Viorel, and thank you, our guest, for this important occasion.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj Maurizio. Thank you for this framing of our discussion during the next hour. Indeed, this is not only about technology in isolation. It's about how policy, digital public infrastructure, and innovation come together so the digital transformation is anchored in farmers' realities and reach the rural communities. Now, dear colleagues, allow me to briefly introduce the four speakers who will take us through this side event. And I'd like to start with first on my left, Ms. Meda Natsitskaite. Was it okay?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Permanent Representative of Lithuania to FAO, IFAD, and WFP, bringing the experience of a country that has invested consistently in digital government and is now extending it to agriculture. The second to my left, Mr. Fernando Miranda Chutilos, Deputy Permanent Representative of Spain to FAO, who will share Spain's experience on the national digitalization strategies for the agri-food and forestry sectors. Speaking third today will be Ms. Gulnora Beknazarova, Executive Director of the Zerkalo Research Institute, whose work surveys farmers directly. Excuse me, digitalization. Whose work surveys farmers directly across Tajikistan and Uzbekistan on what digitalization actually looks like on their land. And we as FAO also work together with Zerkalo in Uzbekistan for sure, and collaborating on that. Also joining us online from Israel, Ms. Dana Kedar, Executive Director of Growing AL, the country's official AgTech community connecting more than 500 companies and 5,000 community members. Let's encourage our colleagues first at the panel discussion, side event. Welcome. And let's start first with the policy dimension. I would like to ask the first speaker, Fernando Miranda Sotilios, to share with us what Spain has done. What you think other countries from the region can learn from it?
Okay, let me thank you for the organization of this side event to FAO and also to the government of Tajikistan for hosting this conference. So, and let me share with you the case of the Spanish national strategy for digitalization of the agri-food sector and the rural areas. So first of all, so it's good to know, so which are the aim of the national strategy. Overall, there were two main goals. The first one is related to what we call rural areas in Spain. In Spain, 80%, 85% of the territory is considered within the parameters of the European Union rural areas. And in those rural areas live only 20% of the population. And in those rural areas is where agriculture takes place. So it is quite important in Spain from the point of view of closing the gap, the digital gap between urban areas and rural areas. That was one of the main goals of the national strategy. And also, and this is important, it was the response also to the policy to fight against the population of rural areas in Spain. So the demographic strategy is quite important, politically speaking, because we have a problem of the population in the interior of the country. Also, the national strategy for digitalization of the agri-food sector was a response to the necessity to have a leverage to improve the competitiveness of the agricultural sector and at the same time to achieve the agroecological transition of the agri-food sector. Digitalization and new technology the idea was that the digitalization and the employ of new technologies could achieve the competitiveness of the sector and at the same time to facilitate the ecological transition of the sector. And as well to modernize the agri-food sector. That was the goal. So the strategy was putting all the resources, the financial resources of all the ministries involved in agriculture and rural areas. So, for instance, there was measures that came from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Communication, the Ministry of Science, all put together in the same strategy. The strategy was launched in 2019, but is implemented with a biannual plan, and the last plan covers until 2026. The strategy is structured in three main objectives. The first one is respond to the main goal of closing the digital gap between rural areas and urban areas, and is devoted to provide connectivity through all rural areas with broadband connectivity. So the result has been that in this moment in Spain, 96% of the rural areas is covered by 5G connectivity. This is important because the first layer of digitalization in rural areas is connectivity. Without connectivity, it's quite difficult to implement another digital solution. And for instance, gigabit networks in rural areas in Spain has a coverage of 86%. The second objective was to promote the use of data and new technologies through the agri-food chain. I'm going to illustrate with examples what that's mean. For instance, was to provide what we call digital kits to farmers and to entrepreneurs in rural areas. For instance, granting aids to farms to purchase GPS devices, auto-guide mechanism for tractors and machinery, electronic collars for livestock, or for instance, software to manage farms. And also, imagine in a small village, a card reader for a small shop in a small town in the rural areas, or for instance, to buy sensors to control the soil conditions or the crop condition. So that was grants to farmers, entrepreneurs in rural areas to purchase these digital kits that was designed to cover the necessity of each farmer or different types of rural entrepreneurs. The objective was to promote new businesses model. It was to promote, for instance, the creation of new startups in rural areas linked to innovation projects. That was achieved, or that was, because it's still ongoing, granting loans to startups to create new models of business related to agriculture or agrotechnology new businesses. And it was a mean to seed the businesses in the rural areas with new models of business. This is something quite challenging because in some cases you have to face a high degree of failure. But so if some of them can achieve or can succeed in those projects, there was another step in the support that was the funding to scale up the project with succeed. And that was a mean to create new models of businesses in rural areas linked to the agri-food sectors. So in conclusion, so the goal of the national strategy was, so the main goal was to close this digital gap between the urban areas and rural areas, to make the agri-food sector more competitive using digitalization and technologies as leverage, to make the agri-food sector also more sustainable, because in some cases, to be more sustainable, for instance, using a new machinery more adapted to soil conservation, you need for that new technology, digitalization, and for instance, a GPS device, or to use this kind of screens that we see in tractors or machinery. And something that is important as well, technology and digitalization is also a leverage to attract young talent to the farm, to the countryside, because in some cases the way we have to attract young farmers, and I speak about men and women, to agriculture is through technology and digitalization. Is the way we have to show them that agriculture is a modern activity linked to the way they have to see life. And it's like they see technology in agriculture and they see technology in another sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fernando. Very interesting. You mentioned about the policy strategies, but what was very interesting, what you touched upon, is the need to connect different ministries and different authorities in order to achieve the results by implementing these policies. And this is true not only for digitalization issue. This is probably unfortunately true for many other sectors, that we are lacking this collaboration, and we need this buy-in by other ministries and government institutions for the issue of agriculture, rural agri-food system transformation. You also managed to bridge probably to my next question related to public infrastructure. And it will be addressed to Meda about the core government, e-government systems which Lithuania has put in place for effective sector management. And how is Lithuania leveraging these systems to deliver better digital services directly to farmers on the ground, both you see institutionally and infrastructurally? Over to you, Meda.
Thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody for showing up on a late afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to share Lithuania's experience. First, I would like to compliment Fernando for an excellent points. I would agree that connectivity is extremely important. I believe we share a similar experience in that regard. We also have 5G. It has expanded nationally as well, so that is an important element to consider. And I would also would like to compliment Mr. Martina on the digitalization, and it's also one of the effects of democracy as well. So I would, it expands accessibility and transparency. Now, talking about Lithuania. So Lithuania has invested heavily in digitalizing public administration, and agricultural is a very big part of that transformation. On a broader level, Lithuania is one of the more digitally advanced public sectors in Europe. We have the so-called one-step shop online system. And I think the big part of our success is that we have invested to a certain level that we're almost 100% paperless administration. People are very comfortable interacting online with the governmental institutions, from young people to senior citizens to women, smallholders. Everybody is very invested in accessing services online. For example, with my phone, I can access e-gate systems. It's called Lithuania e-gate platform, where I can access health services, information about my medical records. We're able to declare our income online as well. Access e-banking information, structures, car registrations, anything you want, you name it, we have it. So this is a big part for us, why also agriculture innovation was almost natural to us, because the whole country is already going to that direction. In agriculture specifically, we have an integrated administration and control system. This is the name, this is the platform. And it connects many different services. But basically what it means is that it manages farmer support schemes in line with the EU requirements. The Ministry of Agriculture provides strategic coordination, while the National Payment Agency is the main institution responsible for its implementation. Under that umbrella, we have two tools that I would think that are most important in this scenario. It is ALNSIS and NMA Agro, so National Payment Agency app. Now, talking about them a bit in more depth, I believe it's important to mention that this tool in particular, ALNSIS, it's difficult to pronounce, but it offers almost real-time satellite monitoring and AI tools, which allows us to evaluate the quality of crops. It allows to forecast yield crops. It also evaluates losses, potential losses caused by crop lodging due to extreme weather conditions. It indicates soil health as well as soil organic carbon. It monitors soil moisture and erosion risks and measures uneven crop growth. Another app, the Agro app delivered by National Payment Agency, provides an opportunity for farmers to inform institutions about their completed agricultural activities by submitting photos, geotagged photos. Finally, we have a new announcement, so we are very proud of it. We have a new system, an application, a platform called Žužis. It's a new platform, but it will connect, it's actually launching in June, and it will connect farmers, it will connect scientists, it will connect businessmen, all of them, in order to innovate, in order to connect innovation as well as practical farming activities. So I believe that's a very important platform for us, where we can connect, all of us connect and explore further opportunities. and perhaps participate in some projects together, also access research results. Yes, I believe I'm out of information for now. I believe I will leave it to you to continue.
Thank you very much, Meda. And you know, you started with the fact that Lithuania is 100% digitalized. Almost. Let's go to almost, but 100% digitalized administrative services, government services. And it reminded me that I'm always, when speaking with this level of digitalization countries, colleagues, let's try to bring this to other countries which need it also. You know, we are trying sometimes to invent things when they're already in place. And we would need these apps, we would need these cloud systems to be brought into the countries which we to make this gap shorter, also in time. And we really need this experience of the countries which are ahead in digitalization to be brought in other countries which are in need on that. And I'm calling the countries to share. Please share these experiences, share as much as it is possible, obviously, but that's a big need for that. But now, if you allow me to move ahead, we discussed about strategies, we discussed about public infrastructure. Does it work in the field? And in this sense, I would like to ask Gulnora Beknazarova to share with us the most striking findings from the work which you do, with your surveys, your studies which you do in the field, and what they tell us about the gap between digital policy ambitions and the realities farmers live. Over to you.
Thank you for your question. Dear guests, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here at this very significant event, and welcome to Tajikistan to all our guests. Let me switch into Russian, it's more sufficient for me.
Please.
Dear guests, dear participants of this session, in this presentation, I would like to give you more insight around the issues that were discussed by Mr. Mauricio about the situation involving digitalization in rural areas among small holders in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. At the plenary, the first part of the day, in their presentation, I don't remember the name, but it has been pointed out that social groups are not homogeneous. That they talked about gender, they talked about the men are homogeneous, women, but groups are not homogeneous. They are quite diverse, quite different. And when we say, we talk about farmers, and when we talk about the situation with the digitalization, we need to understand the audience. We are talking about smallholders. And the studies in Tajikistan, we had studies in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan in 2024-25, and just a little detour about what is happening in the countries involving digitalization. Around at the policy level, with support of FAO and technical support in these countries, in 2024-25, a digitalization strategy of rural areas were implemented. Nearly 70% of population in Tajikistan resides in rural areas. In Uzbekistan, the situation is slightly different. Around 48% is rural population because they have a very big urbanization process. And as for the proportion men-women, it's about 50-50. And this is briefly before I move on with the proceed with the results of the study. I just wanted to point out that there is a gap between the policy and the practical life. It's natural. Nothing happens. Nothing is perfect in this life, and. At the time when our country they announce the digitalization processes, small holders they still remain in the analog the period without any progress. In Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, both we had studies, we had surveys among smallholders, and we had focus group discussions that helped us get more insights about the situation. So on this slide, we have some results. So we can see that that in Uzbekistan, we have a little bit more the smartphone users, and the broadband internet the level in Tajikistan a bit less than in Uzbekistan, and more mobile internet users. And it's important factor, because when we are talking about digital services to develop agriculture, basically we are talking about such tools as mobile internet connection. And as it turns out, about 3/4 of population in Uzbekistan and 2/3 in Tajikistan at that for this sector among the users. In both countries, there is a problem of low speed, the interruptions, etc. So basically, the quality of connection leaves to be desired. And there is another point which we call energy restrictions or limitations, right, in terms of energy supply, both in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan, this is not about households, but about the farms. Next slide. So this is what concerns infrastructure, the issues, challenges. But now let's look at the preferred information channels. And again, during the panel session, the first half of the day, they talked about the information, about the intergenerational the communication, when information is passed on from older generation to younger generation, about the quality information, etc. But in this backdrop, I'd like to point out that most preferred information channels continue to be so-called anecdotal evidence, as we call, right? We prefer to get the info from our colleagues during some about the conversations, trusted sources. And yes, it's great. It's great to take into account while developing programs, projects on awareness raising for target audience. So we have some similarities here, but also some distinctions. For instance, in Tajikistan, at the time, at this point of time, the ICT instruments for agriculture are slightly less developed, but we do have information. We do have SMS, the text information about the weather, etc. But it is less developed compared to Uzbekistan in terms of proliferation of targeted information. Again, both in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, there is a lack of full-scale localization of the information for farmers in local languages. So information mostly is available in Russian language, and the information doesn't consider is not localized. I want to highlight gender aspects, and like I said previously, it's 50-50 both in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan in terms of men-women ratio. If we are coming from economy, for instance, or manpower, due to stereotypes, due to the certain pull factors. They can't unlock the significant significant labor power. Women, the men are more involved in digital. Women are more dependent. They depend more on this, on the solutions. There are more women in terms of access to internet connection, and I'd like to use this term like the oddness, right? When oddly, due to such barriers, the women cannot be involved in certain activities, education activities or other activities. We can also talk about generational difference, which is also very obvious. All the population, they are less engaged, less involved, less informed, less connected to digital environment. However, I wanted to point out, and I actually would flag it in red, that farmers are actually, they don't mind. They don't mind to be involved. They don't mind to learn more. They are ready to pay for new services. They are maybe more careful about that, but they are still in for it. And now, there are also some shared, right? Some shared items here, and just wanted to highlight some of those. At the outset, it's important to provide the base infrastructure, and based on the recommendations, I would split these recommendations into two major categories. The first category is what we can impact in the future programs. So to impact the basic infrastructure would be challenging, but there are other things that we can actually do. For instance, localization of the information. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Like taking into consideration cultural traits in designing educational programs to make sure that they will not be just single-time programs on financing, on human resources, but also introduce e-learning courses, which are possible, right? They are plausible, and because as we can see, there is high level of internet penetration among the population. And also wanted to focus on the following. If we take the major farms, and if we take also the pilot farms that were selected by FAO in coordination with the government, for instance, in Tajikistan, it's Hisar. In Uzbekistan, it's two other. I don't remember, I'm sorry, those two other areas. The situation there is much better. These are those farms that could play role models and could actually be showcased in terms of what can be achieved with digitalization, development, and ICT. Thank you.
Laura, you know, I was with very much interest looking at your presentation, and I'm sure colleagues in the room as well. The figures are very interesting from one point of view because they're very analytical, but also striking. About the digital divide, again, rural, urban, probably we know by default, but when we talk about women, when we talk about youth, when we talk about elderly people, when we talk about the potential, it's obviously there, and there is a lot of work to be done. But also one more thing was about the connection between farmers by themselves. So the community, the farming community, which is the way of learning from each other. And that's probably bring me to the farmer field schools instrument, which is widely implemented by FAO in many of the countries. And the value of this probably is underestimated, but we do have to invest here in the digital education and help as well. Thank you very much again. Let me move ahead with our next speaker, Dana Kedar, and I would like to, who is joining us from Israel. And she is Executive Director of Growing IL. I hope I pronounce correct the name of the company. We want to move to innovation. We want to see, Dana, if you could explain to us how adoption barriers the farmers face. What does it actually take to build a vibrant agri-tech ecosystem where advanced technological solutions actually get adopted by farmers on the ground? Dana, over to you. We don't hear you, colleagues. If you could clarify with the sound. Could you try again, Dana? No. Colleagues, could you check? Could you confirm that we have the sound? No.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, I think we.
Yes?
Yes. Very good.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Please go ahead.
So I'm very happy to be here today. Unfortunately, not in person in Dushan Bay, but great there is the online option. So thank you again for FAO for inviting me. I want to say, first of all, that I totally agree with Martina on what he said about promoting the youth and the women and the small farmer holder. I think that if we want to create or accelerate the agriculture, this is the way to do so and really make sure that it's a long-term transformation and resilience for the country. And as for innovation, how do you create activities that will make farmers want to take part in them, that will truly answer their questions? I think that, first of all, in communities, you need to get to know the field, to get to know the farmers or the different players, what are their needs, and try to create activities or initiatives that will answer those needs. That's for the beginning. And I think that if we want to talk about accelerating innovation or the adoption of innovation among farmers, I think that the way to do so is creating activities, as I said, that really answer their needs. So, for example, we created a pilot platform that connects farmers and startups and try to tackle the different market failures which exist, whether it's the funding, whether it's the agronomic guidance from A to Z, whether it's the due diligence, seeing that the solution or the technology really answer the needs of the farmer and to have him engaged. And also in the end, creating market analysis, seeing that it really gives value, profit, reduce costs and input, but also bringing or creating lower impact on the environment. In the last 3 years, we created dozens of pilots in 21 crops, also in livestock. And I think if we want to take this impact in the farmer level and speak the language of investors and bring more money to the sector, which is not totally from the government and from the VCs, we need to show the investors how we combine economic analysis with clear impact measurement frameworks, such as the theory of change approach, and demonstrating tangible results in the field, meaning showing increased yield and seeing the true impact and not saying slogans and all that. It's not enough today. And also you need to show the ripple effect and how many farmers, after using the technology, still want to use it, and how many farmers that saw what happens on their neighbor's ranch want to implement it as well. The knowledge and the best practices which are shared from one another, or the consulting from one another, and the co-ops that they can create. You need to really create for them the infrastructure to learn, to interact with one another. And also I think that it's not about just trying out innovation, but also learning how to do so. They need to be trained. This is also the way to bring the younger generation. A lot of times we're seeing the younger generation bringing the older generation with them to learn how to do so. And also providing them business support specific on their needs, trying to help them create complementary channels of income. I think this is the way to bring more people to the sector or preserve the one that are already in the sector, and really make sure that agriculture is profitable and efficient.
Thank you very much, Dana. Round of applause for Dana. I'm looking at my watch, and it seems that we are running out of time. We don't have time for the real second question round, but maybe just 1 minute for each of the speakers in this side event. Whatever you want. Barriers, maybe problems, which you think we have on the way from policy to the field. Maybe the divide, the problems related to women, youth, maybe something related to applicability in the field. What are the incentives? It's also important to speak about that. Whatever you want, please choose. Fernando.
First of all, make things easier. So bureaucracy is a problem for all of us.
Easy to say.
We are government, and so and we tend to do things more complicated than they are. So this is the first thing. Second thing is to explain things for the final user. It's not the same a farmer who has livestock, a farmer who has a vineyard, a farmer who has who owns a small dairy. For any of them, there is a different solution, and this is important for them. Also, to explain the entry point. So most of the farmers want to be digitalized, to be modernized, but they don't know where to start. So, and this is something that we have to explain them and to try to help them. And also, there should be real tested technologies, because we talk about technologies a lot, but in some cases, that should be tested at the level of any individual user, any individual farmer. And this is something that we have to try to, I don't want to speak only about farmer, because this is something more, this is wider. This is, for instance, I own a small dairy, and I need electronic collar for my goats, and I need also a web page to sell my cheese, and I need also a card reader to sell my cheese in my small village, because the tourists that approach to me, they want to pay with credit card. So all of that is digitalization, and the electronic collar comes from the Ministry of Agriculture, the society. So the card reader for the Ministry of whatever. So putting all together to the final point of the user is perhaps the main challenge for administration, to make things easier. And okay, make things easier is the most complicated thing.
Thank you very much. Meda.
Yes, thank you. So I was really impressed with the presentation of Gulnora. Thank you very much. It was very insightful. I appreciate it. So maybe just to compare, you see, we have a very different profiles for our country. So it's really hard to understand what are the real needs of farmers. You know, for in Uzbekistan, in Tajikistan, you know, they are very different to the needs of Lithuania. So perhaps taking into account that there are different needs in different contexts, we have to be hearing real farmers. I mean, we are sitting where not all of us are farmers. I'm not a farmer, so go into the field and understand what they need. This analysis of Gulnora's was extremely helpful to understand that, for example. And so first of all of that, and then second point, that it requires investment and it requires inclusivity. So investment in advisory services, training, and digital literacy would be my, I would consider as most important needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Gulnora.
Прежде чем я отвечу на этот вопрос, позвольте мне привести высказывание одного из фермеров. И он сказал следующее во время фокус-групп. Он сказал, что, проблема есть, говорит, и с электроэнергией, и с поливом, говорит, но мы движемся дальше, говорит, мы живем, мы работаем, это те...
What we if we have someone to prompt us how to proceed further, the life will be much easier. The infrastructural problems or issues can be addressed, but it takes time and requires sufficient effort. However, with smart irrigation systems, we could make our lives easier. And then access to micro lending would be a good idea, a good support. Without, as you noted in your comment, without inventing something new, a peer-to-peer approach could help. Of course, we should be using things and approaches which will not be which will not require significant changes. For instance, in respect of Uzbekistan, they already are used to receiving information via YouTube, and there should be some organized way of providing such information from YouTube and other similar sources. In Tajikistan, we also should think about basic knowledge. We should be moving towards addressing some specialized or specific topics, and these are my ideas. Я думаю, что в первую очередь правительства должны предоставлять финансирование для инфраструктуры, для того, чтобы вот эти трансформации притворять в жизнь, для...
Not important from others in order to promote the agriculture sector. As for innovation and digitalization, I think that we need to help the farmers learn how to do the transformation, how to use the technologies, to have guidance, to feel that they're not alone, that there is an instructor that will help them, that there is someone who is willing to take the risk with them, whether it's the governments that give the funding. And also, I think, as it was said before, I think we need to listen to the farmers, to their true challenges, and not take or create technologies that answer perhaps the big agribusinesses challenges, but the real farmers in the end. And this is the way to bring them engaged and use the technologies. And also, as for the startups, I think that they need to be interacted more with the farmers to hear their pain points and have their feedback and create technologies that will assist them and not create more work for them. And I think for last, I think that for creating innovation ecosystem, I think that we need to change the mindset and help different players to interact with one another. I don't know, create consortia or different PPP partnership in order to create win-win for all. So that's in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. You know, I was listening to these last 4 interventions, and while there were many ideas around. I don't know why, but I picked few words which I wanted to share with you. One was easy, invest, curiosity, and local. I don't know how to connect them and how to connect these words with others which were, but this probably, if we will think about many of them, maybe we'll find this the solution will be closer to the ones who need it. I know Maurizio wanted to say a few words for the end of our session, before we close our session. Unfortunately,
sure.
we don't have time for questions, which we planned, but Maurizio.
No, just to say thank you, because I think we underline a set of important information that we have to keep in mind, and in this particular moment. I was thinking that it's clear that digitalization is a tool for the generational renewal. We have to keep in mind that maybe it's the most important tool that we have in order to push and, and push and push also when we speak about generational renewal. Otherwise, no chance. But in the other hand, we had to recognize that in some countries, also in this region, you can see the slide you underlined before, digital divide is also a big problem in terms of gender gap. And this is a problem that we have to escalate, because in some countries, digital divides means gender divides, and we cannot achieve, we cannot maintain the same roots, in particular in some countries. My only final thought is that I think in front of the power of this new revolution, the digital revolution that we have in particular in the rural area, is very different compared to the urban area, and we know very well. The most important prerequisite is try to not to leave alone the farmers in front of this revolution, because means bureaucracy, means a lot of things, and maybe tools like the FAO villages, digital villages, is not only for the, I would say, is not only for the developing country. In a lot of countries, is also for developed country, medium country, because this type of platform, like when in Europe we create the energy communities, no, for the renewable energy, we have to create the digital communities in order to help in terms of knowledge, in terms of financial tools, in terms of other things that we have to manage behind the title. This is my final reflection, and FAO can help a lot in this way, because this is exactly our mandate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maurizio. But you brought me to the beginning of our event on Monday, when we started the whole week with Generation Wise Invest. This is the word from you. Thank you very much. Allow me to close this side event with a round of applause for our panel members and discussion, also here and on the screen. And I would like to hope that our discussion will bring our policies, strategies, and actions to a different level, with the support of the governments, with the support of partners, with the support of donors, and also with driven by the curiosity of and hard work of our farmers, whom we owe, probably. Thank you very much.
ERC12.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming for this very last side event of the day. You must all be exhausted, so we will have a exciting and compact session. My name is Marilise Stoll. I am the Deputy Permanent Representative in Rome at FAO. And it is my pleasure today to welcome you to this side event on multi-stakeholder global bioeconomy partnership for sustainable agri-food systems. As you might be aware, the bioeconomy is becoming an increasingly important pathway for transforming agri-food systems in Europe and Central Asia. It offers concrete opportunities to improve resource efficiency, promote circularity, support rural livelihoods, and strengthen resilience in the face of climate change and environmental pressures. At the same time, we recognize that progress across the region remains uneven, and there is a strong need to enhance collaboration, share knowledge, and scale up successful approaches. In this context, FAO is advancing the bioeconomy for sustainable transformation, or BEST partnership, which aims to bring together countries and stakeholders to support policy development, innovation, capacity building, and investment in sustainable bioeconomy solutions. We see the strong engagement and support of members in this process, including Germany, which has played an important role in advancing international dialogue and cooperation on bioeconomy. Today's discussion provides a valuable opportunity to reflect on regional experiences and to shape how this global partnership can best respond to the needs and priorities of members. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Kaveh Sahedi, Assistant Director General and Director of the Office of Climate Change, Biodiversity and Environment of FAO, to deliver the opening remarks and help set the scene for today's discussion. Mr. Zahedi, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, esteemed moderator, and good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, dear friends. It's a great pleasure to sort of set the scene a little bit for this conversation about bioeconomy for sustainable food and agriculture this evening. I think all of you who are gathered in this room are aware why this is very much a timely discussion and one that's very much connected to the growing momentum here in Europe and Central Asia. We heard part of this conversation already during the Uniting for Sustainability conversation earlier on as well. And that's because the region is moving. The region is already at the center of bioeconomy policy and innovation in many ways. It's home to 2 of the 3 existing regional strategies for bioeconomy, one being the European Union Bioeconomy Strategy and the other one being the Nordic Bioeconomy Program. And at the same time, several countries in the region have adopted or are in the process of developing national bioeconomy strategies with applications that apply across agriculture, forestry, fisheries, bioenergy, biomaterials, valorization of waste, and so on. So we're beginning to see the potential of bioeconomy playing out in practice in this region. Agricultural residues are being turned into organic fertilizer and biogas, and nobody needs to be reminded of how important that could be at a time like this. Nutrient recycling is reducing waste and pollution. The forest-based bioeconomy products are creating value while keeping forests standing and sustainable. In water and land-constrained contexts, particularly, of course, in Central Asia, bioeconomy approaches are also playing an important role in improving resource efficiency and restoring soils and strengthening climate resilience in agri-food systems. So as we see, it's not an abstract concept, but one that lends itself to many different sorts of practical solutions. Helping these practical solutions that I've mentioned to scale up is really where stronger regional cooperation and knowledge exchange is going to be critical. And that's where a global multi-stakeholder partnership could really make a difference. Now, just by way of reminder, FAO members have given us a very clear mandate. In 2024, the Committee on Forestry and the Committee on Agriculture both recognized the need for this stronger partnership and requested FAO to develop a proposal for a global multi-stakeholder partnership on sustainable bioeconomy. And to develop this proposal, we conducted consultations across 6 regions in 2025, last year. And out of that, we were able to formulate a proposal for really what seemed to be the big ask of all the regions. And that's for a very light, voluntary, multi-stakeholder platform, which we've termed the Bioeconomy for Sustainable Transformation, or BEST partnership. Now, the proposal is going to be discussed at the upcoming session of the FAO Program Committee, and then at the session of the FAO Council in June. This is the process that has sort of brought us into the room now and has us talking a little bit about how important such multi-stakeholder partnerships are if we really want to scale up bioeconomy from a concept to implementation on the ground. I would like to recognize the leadership and support of countries in this region in the process. I don't know, I mean, many of you might not remember that it was Ireland, actually. Ireland is here. Ireland is here, thank you. It was Ireland who sort of kickstarted this process with a first scoping study in 2023 on a possible global bioeconomy alliance. And of course, Ireland also hosts the Global Bioeconomy Summit later on this year. And then Germany, our dear friends, our decade-long partner on bioeconomy work, have then been instrumental in supporting this inclusive consultation process that I mentioned that has informed the proposal on the best partnership that we bring to you and we look forward to discussing. Now, the partnership is designed to be light, voluntary, action-oriented, and we expect to connect actors, all actors, and to strengthen policy coherence, improve data and indicators, facilitate investment, all of the things that you know are needed to scale up from a sort of a niche bioeconomy to a mainstream bioeconomy. But most important of all, it's a partnership that brings bioeconomy actors from the private sector, academia. I know we have private sector friends in here as well, somewhere there, who are so important to getting bioeconomy up and running, because the bioeconomy is not something that sits right now in one part of government or in one sector. It is something that is being innovated. It is about innovation, much of which is being carried by the private sector, by academia, and of course, the normative element that is carried by government. And it's about bringing all of these together. So out of all the consultations, what does such a best partnership look like? What are the pillars? First of all is better data, knowledge, metrics, and indicators. I think it was in 2025, the European Forestry Commission that encouraged FAO to support knowledge building and transfer and circular bioeconomy approaches, and to support members in integrating circularity into national forest programs, strategies, commitments, and then harmonizing standards and regulatory frameworks to promote the sustainable bioeconomy. And that's just one example to say that there's already a pretty strong foundation, but without defining the data, the knowledge, the metrics, what is bioeconomy and what is a sustainable bioeconomy, it's very hard to then invest in it and to scale it up. You know that we have published some years ago the aspirational principles for bioeconomy. That was launched by FAO, and then this was followed up by the high-level principles for advancing the global bioeconomy of the G20 initiative that was launched under the Brazilian presidency in 24 and then advanced under the South Africa's presidency in 25. So you see the momentum building for that indicators piece already. FAO is leveraging all of this work on metrics, and we lead the working group on metrics and indicators under the bioeconomy challenge of the Brazilian COP30 presidency. And under that group, we'll work towards a sort of a harmonized set of core indicators and help to pilot them with interested partner countries. That's really the foundation of a bioeconomy. Define it. What does a bioeconomy, what counts, what doesn't count, what makes it sustainable or otherwise. And that's one of the things that can be turbocharged through the best partnership, because then we can move beyond individual country experiences to regional and global exchange, shared guidelines on metrics, indicators, and so on. So that's one pillar. The second is strong policy support and capacity development. In Europe and Central Asia, FAO already facilitates regional knowledge exchange, peer learning, and dissemination of good practices to accelerate bioeconomy. We've seen publications like Promoting Sustainable and Circular Bioeconomy Through Agricultural Practice in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. We've seen case studies of good practice shared through the technical platform on green agriculture and related workshops. So this is not a blank slate. We're building on what already exists. But through the best partnership, what we can do is support countries even more with policy advice, tools, technical assistance, capacity building, really providing that platform for rapid exchange of what they're learning as they implement the bioeconomy. The third pillar is scaling up innovative bioeconomy solutions on the ground. So we have the data and metrics as the first pillar. We have the policy support as the second pillar. But it has to, make sense on the ground. Again, the region has good experience in terms of scaling up innovation in bioeconomy on the ground. We've seen that already. Partnership platforms allow countries to share the kind of experiences that you know as housed in each of your countries, what works on the ground, establish the connections from research to investors, from decision makers to local communities, bring all of them into the room. And again, that's why through the best partnership, we hope to connect experiences, support peer learning, and jointly build an enabling environment to bring innovations to scale. And that's the third pillar. How do we go from metrics to policy to getting this done on the ground in a way that makes sense, right? At the end of the day, it's bio and economy. The economy part has to make sense as well. So here in this side event, it really is an opportunity for us to reflect and for us to hear about efforts and experiences in Europe and Central Asia and how we can support them to achieve even greater potential, and it will allow us to explore how the best partnership can support and accelerate these efforts. So I hope, esteemed moderator, that with those words, I've set a little bit the scene of what's brought us into this room and the excitement we feel about bringing all the actors together as we go from a niche bioeconomy to a mainstream one. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zahedi, for your insightful opening remarks. Let us now move on to the panel discussion, where we will focus on accelerating implementation and scale up the impact of sustainable bioeconomy approaches in agri-food system across Europe and Central Asia. Let me now invite our distinguished panelists to join the discussion. I have to my right His Excellency, the Minister of Agriculture of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Mr. Ibrahim Abdurakhmonov. And to my other side, His Excellency, Mr. Andreas von Brandt, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Germany to FAO. Then further on, we have Mrs. Anna Santala, Ministerial Advisor from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry of Finland, and Mrs. Annette Schneegans. Annette is here, Deputy Permanent Representative from the EU delegation in Rome. It is my honor to invite these distinguished panelists to respond to a few questions, and the discussion will be structured around 3 thematic blocks. So firstly, we have translating the bioeconomy into practical implementation. Second, to strengthen intersectoral and multi-stakeholder collaboration. And third, the role of global multi-stakeholder partnerships. Each speaker will have approximately 2 to 3 minutes per question. Moving to theme 1, translating bioeconomy into practical implementation. My first question would be about how can bioeconomy approaches be translated into practical, actionable results, actionable solutions that deliver tangible results for farmers, rural communities, and agri-food systems. Perhaps to the panelists, if you could share 1 or 2 concrete examples or experiences from your country or institution. It is my pleasure to first request His Excellency the Minister of Uzbekistan to respond to this question and to reflect on what are the most relevant entry points for applying bioeconomy approaches in your national context.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues, dear panelists, chairman, and all attendees. It's a great privilege to present a little bit our opinion in this session, side event, and of course you're a little bit tired. I'm not going to read anything. I just will be very practical. I'm not economist myself by training. I'm a geneticist. That's why probably I will take directions on bioeconomy, what will be the plant side, crop side. Another, I served as a Minister of Innovative Development for 5 years. So I will talk a little bit on innovation, and 1 year for education, higher education minister. So I will talk about a little bit on education impact on this question. First of all, actually the plant side, bioeconomy connected all the bioeconomy, as I understood, and from our panelists, the clarification I also got. The biggest issue, again, the carbon sequestration program. It's a big economy for us. Will be big economy. Itself, plants chew up lots of carbon. They like carbon very much. At least 6 crops we grow anywhere: cotton, wheat, rice, maize, corn, soybean. They are very much taking and clearing up the weather for us. All the problems, climatic issue problems, they're solving us. It's a very good plant absorbing the carbon. But at the end, in the autumn, they release twice or 3rd time more carbon to the atmosphere because of digestion. This is a huge problem, and economy, bioeconomy should address this one. This question, very key question, how we can address in scientific long term. There is several genes we call suberenes. If you increase synthesis of suberenes from the carbon, it's a plant cork. Probably the economists do not know, but cork, it will never digest, slowly digest. For digestion of cork requires 250 degrees centigrade. So it will stay on the soil. You can trap easily any carbon through this approach. And in Uzbekistan, I already have a big team, gene editing team. So we have a plant coming in the lab now. So suberene synthesizing cotton. So cotton fields with the suberenes. So huge economy, bioeconomy. This is one of the biggest direction for all the crops. If you manage suberene synthesizing plants, that will clear up economy and develop the economy issues. This is one thing. Another thing I already highlighted, many geneticists know, but economists should pay attention. Seed, very good. Seed is a key thing for Uzbekistan agriculture and agriculture. But seed is like a hardware. You have a computer, that's enough. But we have to work on softwares. It's epigenetics. Seed is a genetics, DNA. Epigenetics, DNA itself is like a hardware. You have a computer, that's it. Without software, it will not work. We need new agri-technologies, new application of agri-technologies, epigenetics. You have to treat new ways that this plant can help better production or so forth, or better adaptation, but it will come with a fertilization, it will come with a biostimulation, or so forth. Very practical, short term, what we're doing in Uzbekistan. Of course, whatever I told, this genetic engineered suberene-like plants is a long term, little bit, mid-term, long term, but in Uzbekistan, we already took 3 cases I can tell. One is biochar. We grow about 1 million hectare cotton. Cotton stocks is very good, but they digest in the autumn. If you don't remove or you just cut it out, they release 3 times more carbon. If you make a biochar, instead of just cutting and spreading it, you can trap carbon for 100 years. 100 years, they will not digest this biochar from the cotton stalks. They stay in the soil First, it will improve the soil fertility and soil microbial development, and they trap carbon for 100 years for you. And I already this year made 2,000 hectares biochar. Next year will be more than 50,000 hectares. I trained all the farmers. Very easy, no cost. You just go field, dig up hole, big hole, 1 meter to 2 meter, 1.5 meter. It should be cylindric, like this. Put all the cotton stalks, and you have to burn from the top, not the bottom. If you burn from bottom, it will be ash. If you burn from the top, it will be biochar. In the field, you can produce tons of biochar. Only thing, one problem is you have to fix the pH. You cannot apply biochar itself on the soil. pH very high, so you have to just come up with a new solution, and we came up with a new solution. We just apply 1 bag of sulfur, pure sulfur, and it'll make very good natural biochar. 1 ton of cotton stalk gives 462 kilograms of biochar. With this, you can trap 4.4 carbon credit, and you can actually sell this for carbon market, get $90 per hectare income for farmers. It's a bioeconomy. Carbon market is very huge, now increasing. So very practical, anybody can do it. If not cotton stalk, other branches from the other waste from agriculture. Second, no-till technology was FAO were doing. Very good technology, maybe many countries adopting, but I adopted this year itself 255 hectares. No-till in non-irrigated lands, and we have a rotated crop, so in the repeated crop in the summer, so we'll have all the about 1 million hectare land will be and after the wheat no-till technology. So step by step we're going. Several others, but practical things I have, but I will stop here. One thing, very policy side, again, I will tell as a former Minister of Innovative Development and Higher Education, Science, Technology, I worked for 5 years, struggled, but I came to know that we have to change all the sectors, but in agriculture first, and we're implementing. It should be Heiki-minded agriculture. Heiki means humanity, creativity, humanity, ethics, creativity, imagination. If you have human heart, it will be resilient or regenerative agriculture. If you say, no, I don't use these fertilizers because of profit, then you will have a bioeconomy. You save the resources. If you have imagination, you can create, solve the problems. So our program now, Heiki, plus STEM plus Heiki, is a main core of bioeconomy, and sustainability of the agriculture and society sustainability depends on Heiki mind. So this is a third thing and point out. Of course, many small, yesterday I told seed dormancy I'm using, very simple, but I'm using high scale, very, very large scale. Shade avoidance syndrome, physiology, I'm using very in big fields, very high income, very simple, but very high income. Only thing you have to do, think not only hardware, but also software. Genetics, seed is genetics again. Agri-technologies, software. We have to be very careful and very keen on developing softwares, agri-technologies. Problem is with the plants. Of course, plant genome or any genomes have structure, capacity. However, all the program written with the pencils. You can erase easily when you go in the field. So you apply one fertilizer, you erase, you write another one. So software is very difficult part. Whenever engaged with software development yet in agriculture. It's my opinion. So we engaged more in seed development it's a hardware. We're creating lots of computers, but no softwares. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for these valuable reflections from Central Asia. Let me now request Ms. Annette Schneegans from the EU to respond to this question and reflect on how policy frameworks are translated into practical tools or incentives for farmers and businesses. Mrs. Schneegans, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and I will have a hard time after the speech of the Minister. I'll start to unpack that question with the policy framework and then go slowly to the practical solutions. In the EU, and I think you may all agree, we view the bioeconomy as really a chance to make the economy more green, sustainable, to decarbonize, and to create new opportunities for all of us. So concretely for farmers, foresters, and fishermen, we see that the bioeconomy has huge potential to diversify production and to create many diverse and let's say rich value chains, which means that also for consumers, the bioeconomy is almost like a promise for new products, better products, more sustainable, and adapted to new challenges. So the EU in 25 last year adopted a new bioeconomy strategy based on previous ones from 2012 and 2018. And the vision is to make the EU a leading, reliable partner for the production of sustainable bio-based materials and products. But of course, this is not a closed shop. In the strategy itself, we look at global partnerships, networking together with partners around the world to exchange knowledge and develop together these new opportunities. So maybe I say first how we try and translate these various ambitions into concrete instruments, and they go to concrete examples. So we have a couple of tools, financial tools, policy tools in place. First of all, the common agricultural policy. As the Minister rightly mentioned, agriculture, aquaculture, fishermen, forestry is the source, is the start of everything. So we need to have conditions in place that enable farmers to make use of that. So common agriculture policy is key. Then we have the EU Research Framework Program, because all of this transitioning to bioeconomy is knowledge intensive. And then we have a private-public partnership called the Circular Bioeconomy Joint Undertaking to really get on board private investors, de-risk investment, and test solutions. And finally, we will have, not yet, but we'll have with the new financial framework, a new European competitive fund that will also help to de-risk investments. So this is our framework, and it's also an offer in particular under the research program and in our work with FAO to work with all of you. Let me give you some very practical examples. I think it was just mentioned that starting all with soils, for example, the area of bio-inputs, biofertilizers, biopesticides is an area where you can really hands-on see what the bioeconomy can do. And needless to say that after the recent crisis, we had COVID, we have still various conflicts that have seen how vulnerable we are to trade shocks. The fertilizer example, I think all of you know that we got scarce resources from fertilizers. So biofertilizers from bioeconomy, from bio-based industries are a clear solution that makes us all more resilient, makes farmers more independent of temporary shocks. And to give you a concrete example, we have a research project called Rustica that convert organic residues from fruit and vegetables into novel bio-based fertilizers. So you can see that there's no waste, actually. You have one stream of production, vegetables, fruits, and all the byproducts that you normally would throw away maybe, or just compost, you can use for a very sophisticated, useful biofertilizer application. We were just testing that in Latin America, but we would be very, very happy to test it elsewhere and look into many other projects of this kind to work together with you. I think I'd leave it there, maybe just to finalize that soil health is an area where we start showing bioeconomy solutions, but we can go on with many, many other areas beyond the food sector in looking into non-food applications. And this is a very, I say, extensive discussion, but this is where we also see that farmers get into a new, new area, new partnerships with industries that are not traditional. And we will come back certainly later on this discussion, how we can bridge the traditional forms of production with new partnerships and new users. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schneegans, for sharing this interesting information. May I now request Ms. Anna Santala from the Ministry of Agriculture, and Forestry from Finland to respond to this question, reflecting on what has helped move from strategy to real implementation on the ground. Mrs. Santala.
Thank you, Marie-Lise, and thank you for inviting me to this panel. Bioeconomy is very important for Finland, and we have been working for a long time on it. And we are very pleased to see that it is gaining now more focus globally and in the FAO work also. And we are very much looking forward to expanded cooperation on the bioeconomy. Finland was the second EU member state after Germany to adopt a national bioeconomy strategy already in 2014. The strategy was updated in 2022 with the aim of doubling the value added of the Finnish bioeconomy by 2035. This is not about increasing the use of natural resources, but about using them more wisely, creating more value with fewer resources. The focus is firmly resource efficiency and the circular economy. I would like to mention also that at the core of the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry's new vision is the idea that Finland wants to be the leading country in a sustainable bioeconomy. And in FAO, Finland has joined the FAO Group on Friends on Bioeconomy, and we have been actively engaged in the COLI initiative. And here I would like to thank Austria for its leadership in advancing sustainable forest-based bioeconomy approaches during this initiative. And maybe now more for your question. So what has helped to move from strategy to real implementation on the ground? I have 3 points. First, it is important to have a shared vision and direction. I would like to highlight the importance of having national strategies prepared in a participatory manner. The Finnish bioeconomy strategy is tightly linked to forest policy, climate policy, industrial policy, and regional development. This way, direction is clear and shared. Second, public and private investment in research are important. In Finland, for example, large forest companies are capable of making important investments, and at the same time, universities and other research actors are closely involved in developing new products and processes. What really matters is that the research isn't separated from industry or policymaking. These are built into the same ecosystem, so ideas can move from laboratories to full-scale production. And third, the implementation of the strategy has been pushed very strongly to the regional and practical level. So the national strategy doesn't stay in the capital, but regions and local actors develop their own implementation plans based on their resources and strengths. And I think I stop here for the first question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Santala, for sharing these important experiences. Now, finally, let me invite His Excellency Andreas von Brandt, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Germany to FAO, to take the floor. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marie-Lise. Thank you, Marie-Lise. And thank you. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Stoll. Thank you all for your interest. And let me start by saying with a very simple definition, we in Germany, we have concluded that there are two main elements. One is to provide farmers, also fishermen, with more income. And the other consideration is, of course, the transformation of our economy towards a more sustainable future. And therefore, as the Minister, Kave and Annette, and by the way, we are all part of the EU, Germany and Finland, we fully subscribe to what the EU has outlined. We are part of that. But I would add that the right incentives to go towards such a sustainable economy, to go towards decarbonization is really key to develop this market and to spur the necessary interest. And I give you some examples. I would also say they're not always sophisticated, but deliberately I tell you that there are examples that are feasible for everyone, because sometimes we have heard from global south countries that, oh, you, the north there, you have sophisticated machinery and all of that, but there are very simple examples as well. So, for example, we have been starting to fabricate, to produce tires out of dandelion plant. We have, of course, a lot of wooden construction and a lot of new wood products for construction, bioplastics, isolation out of hemp. To give you another example is our attempt of re-wetting actually peatlands and come to what we call paludiculture, meaning to work in wetter environments by which we also preserve the carbon storage, and we develop new material that could be used for construction as well, insulation or packaging. Now, on the policy front, we have set up a bioenergy council, and we have worked in an interagency way to create the enabling policies to improve access to finance for farmers and producers, and a very strong link with research and capacity development. Of course, one element in the transformation of agri-food systems towards a sustainable economy is also the metrics and the indicators, and therefore we have set up indicators, and I come to that also when it comes to the FAO project in a minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for these valuable insights. Let us now move to the second theme, strengthening intersectoral and multi-stakeholder collaboration. Bioeconomy is inherently cross-sectoral, as we already heard. What do you see as the most effective way to strengthen collaboration across sectors and stakeholders, such as agriculture, forestry, energy, private sector, and research, both within countries and across the region of Europe and Central Asia? I would also welcome reflections on how regional cooperation and knowledge exchange can be helped to scale up for successful approaches. In this case, I would like to begin with Finland. Anna, please.
Thank you, Marie-Lise. Scaling bioeconomy happens through regional cooperation and shared knowledge. In Finland, success comes from bringing farmers, companies, researchers, and local authorities together to co-develop solutions like biogas systems or nutrient recycling. Not just pilot them, but replicate them. Knowledge exchange is key. What works in one region is quickly adapted and transferred to another, reducing risk and speeding up investments. The result is faster scaling, lower costs, and stronger rural economies. In Finland, we have experienced that bioeconomy scales because regions don't work in isolation. They share knowledge, pool resources, and invest together, turning pilots into systems. One concrete example is the nutrient recycling program, which consists more than 50 projects advancing nutrient recycling and biogas solutions. Regional cooperation transforms isolated success stories into scalable systems. By sharing knowledge, aligning policies, and building joint value chains, we can unlock the full potential of the bioeconomy, not just locally, but across entire regions. I would like to mention two examples of the regional cooperation between countries. The Nordic countries are an excellent example of how regional cooperation can accelerate bioeconomy. One practical example there is the shared expertise in forestry-based bioeconomy between Finland, Sweden, and Norway. Another regional example is the Baltic Sea Region Bioeconomy Network, where the Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, collaborate with Nordic partners in biorefineries and biomass innovations. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. May I now invite the European Union to respond to the same question?
We just heard the regional and national, so examples of regional national initiatives. So just would like to add with the EU-wide examples. As I just mentioned, we have in the EU public-private sector initiative called Joint Undertaking for Circular Bio-Based Economy. And that one is a major tool, I would say, or vehicle to bring together bio-based industries, public sector, EU, and stakeholders from across all the industries, from farming to bio-based industries. This is to try and test solutions, to provide investment to de-risk solutions that are sort of, let's say, feasible, but not yet at scale. So this is one major instrument that has been tested already for, I would say, 6 to 7 years with very good results. Then let me also draw attention to something that is less visible, but still very effective. We have under the Common Agricultural Policy an instrument called the European Innovation Partnership, where we fund small focus groups, as we call. And these are groups of farmers that operate in a certain region and exchange practices and knowledge with research institutes on very practical matters. And we have many of them, dozens, that work on bioeconomy. So these kind of exchange of experience groups, locally driven by the Common Agricultural Policy, really serve to show farmers that they're not alone in their own, let's say, activities to develop bioeconomy practices, but they have peers with whom they can exchange. This is something of really, really importance. And then finally, let me give you an example at FAO itself. So with global partners, the EU and Brazil, we have set up a group of friends, as it's called, the group of friends of the bioeconomy for food and agriculture. It was created last year in October with around 40 members and observers. And this serves to exchange knowledge and best practices among the different regions. And basically, it's about seeing, do we have the same understanding, definitions of what is a bioeconomy? You will imagine that the understanding is very different. Then we also, Kabe mentioned, what are the, if we come to a sort of definition, what would be the metrics for defining this is a sustainable bioeconomy? Can we have a shared understanding of all of this? And then can we also move towards identifying policies that would help us cooperating in much more efficient ways to develop an interlinked global bioeconomy? So these kind of reflections we do in the group of friends. And let me finalize by just stating that within the group, which is really dynamic and meets regularly. We have not yet a partner, a member, a FAO member from Central Asia. So I would very much encourage you, your colleagues in Rome, to join. You don't need to become a fully fledged member from the beginning, but maybe as an observer, you come in and see whether this is something where you can engage much more with us and be part of a very dynamic community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annette. May I now ask the Honorable Minister from Uzbekistan to respond to the same question?
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Actually, collaboration, intersectorial and multi-stakeholder collaboration is very important in bioeconomy. I would like to say that first sector, of course, for regenerative agriculture, bioeconomy is a microbiology sector. It's a huge microbiology, untapped resources were never used it. And we never imagined that they are making agriculture without us, actually. They're contributing for soil health, they're contributing for productivity, they are in between plants and microbiome of the soil, there are lots of crosstalks. They talk to each other. They consult with each other. They have soldiers for them. If they get sick, they can get help from the soil. So this untapped resources only for scientific collaborations and science, technology development. You have to understand, but still we have to, in private organizations, this microbial biofertilizers, this is huge issue. We have to apply more of this with private. And we in Uzbekistan have adopted European Union. We have a good collaborations with the European Union, and we have grants for so many years. They're supporting us, and we modeled our extension system using, as we call AKIS, Agricultural Knowledge Innovation Systems. From the top country level to the bottom, the farmer level, all the vertical we have covered, and they working very well in a sense of helping the farmers, educating them, bringing these technologies, and helping actually something happen in the real field. This is one thing, and recently we re-established the Academy of Science for Agriculture in Uzbekistan. This is a new initiative, but this is again to understand this unknown, untapped resources of agriculture. For bioeconomy, actually, this is one thing I could tell, for example, just pastures in Central Asia lands is very big, 450 million hectares. Out of it, 250 like for agriculture, 40 crop right now, 40 million we actually engaged with crops, rest in pastures. In pastures, you know, our understanding was just save from the grazing, but it's not. Because if you do, then you lose the pastures. If you save grazing pastures, then you lose it. So every 1 hectare land have 5 animals, should have 5 animals, otherwise you lose it. This is also it's a part of bioeconomy. But intersectorial, you have to understood with this veterinary sector that actually connected with agriculture. In tiny thing there is a bug who utilizes all the waste from animals. Actually, they do lots of great work for us, for agriculture, for regenerating the lands. We never use it. That's why this is another big thing, big problem directions we're taking in Uzbekistan. Of course, with the banks, we never worked with banks very closely. Bankable projects we do not have. In Uzbekistan, we took new initiative. Each banks, commercial banks, they have their own, how to say, agriculture-related daughter companies. They work for Minister of Agriculture. and they implement all the projects, all the new technologies, fund the science, get the inventions, put in the farmers. We call this agro-star companies, and we work intergovernmental, like Minister of Economy, they have banks, they have companies, they fund directly companies, and they do all the agriculture work. Big innovations, only farmers cannot do. They need lots of training, lots of modeling. So this is another way we see make a bankable projects with commercial banks itself, using their power. Because they are economists, they can calculate very well. They can manage funds very well. They have ethics when you speak on the money. They know how to manage it. So, and they can calculate. So this is another very new direction in Uzbekistan. We're taking a kind of initiative. Another thing yesterday happened, we reformed our ministry. We established new committee, National Committee for Food Security, that incorporates veterinary, also quarantine service, and human health. So it's one place. Everything is watched, monitored, or overseen in one place. This is another thing, and it's connected with the bioeconomy, because lots of things, bioeconomy or agricultural development down the road, sustainability depended on customary, or customs and logistics. This is another thing. So we have to be, kind of innovative on this side also. Closing custom borders when fruits ripen, it will be very big hurdle for everybody, farmers and everybody. So, and especially double landlocked country like us, dependent on many roads like dry road, like we do not have access for seas, and neighboring countries we very much dependent on. That's why, again, all of whatever I told direct us for Heki. So we have to be very Heki minded. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, for this important contribution. May I finally request Germany to take the floor?
Thank you. I think I can see already a lot of natural friends for the group of friends in Rome. Having said that, on your question, I think we have in Germany this long tradition of consultation between government, different ministries, but also private sector and civil society. In this case, particularly producers, farmers. And so this multi-stakeholder approach, which seems to be a fancy UN term, is actually embedded in our polity. And so we have a multi-stakeholder approach for many years on bioeconomy, involving farmers, local communities, also research institutions, and always with a practical usage, with the aim of practical usage. We have regional innovation hubs that are helping to showcase what the value added is for farming communities. And we think regulation is very important, but to develop a market, it is very important first to let also the markets thrive, to let it develop together with the private sector and research. And we haven't managed, we may come to that when it comes to the FAO partnership. The minister mentioned food security. I would also say that this is, of course, a very serious discussion. To what extent is there a trade-off between food security? We are monitoring that, and we are also encouraging FAO and other members, of course, to monitor the impacts on food security. However, I would suggest here that new investment, new interest in bioeconomy can also spur investment into rural areas, and by that, be beneficial for food security. So it is not always the simple trade-off between, you know, land used for food crops or land used for something else. Apart from the fact, of course, that we are mainly talking about residues and things that are not in competition to food crops. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador, for this valuable contribution. We now move on to our last block that has to do with the global multi-stakeholder partnerships themselves. How can multi-stakeholder partnerships, such as FAO's Bioeconomy for Sustainable Transformation, or BEST partnership, support countries in accelerating sustainable bioeconomy development through knowledge exchange, coordinated action, investment, and capacity development? Let me begin with Germany.
Thank you, Marie-Lise. So the idea is, as I just said, we have had a story of multi-stakeholder approaches in Germany, and we have our Global Forum for Food and Agriculture. And in the year 2025, we had 60 ministers of agriculture who agreed to task FAO with the development of such a multi-stakeholder global bioenergy partnership. Germany is funding this approach, and the idea is precisely that we have from early on, from the outset, all parties, all stakeholders involved. We are, of course, not against member states regulating. Governments have to regulate at the end. But we think it is a good idea to, first of all, develop metrics, indicators, hear stories, share experiences, lessons learned, and involve all the parties involved. And we also know, I mean, we appreciate the G20 initiative, the bioeconomy initiative, and Brazil's work. But the discussions have also revealed gaps and further needs. And so we think that FAO is best placed to work in narrowing and these gaps and developing further metrics and indicators. So the priority action is actually now to start to make this platform, to make this global bioeconomy partnership happen. And we look forward to working with all of you and seeing FAO at the center of this debate.
Thank you again, Andreas. Let me now request the EU to respond to the same question, reflecting on how regional actors can engage with and benefit from such a platform, and how you see the role of initiatives such as the Group of Friends on Bioeconomy in supporting dialogue, alignment, and cooperation in this context. Ms. Schneegans, you have the floor.
Thank you. Let me start with the last bit of the question, because I just mentioned the Group of Friends of the Bioeconomy that is led by, again, Brazil and the EU. And basically, it is a fantastic place for networking and for creating a shared vision of the bioeconomy. So it has been very instrumental in getting traction, political traction, in getting commitment to work in the various committees and governing bodies on bioeconomy. But now, beyond this, let's say, political work and networking, we need to move towards concrete technical work, multi-sectorial, interdisciplinary, to get into the hearts and bolts, for example, on metrics, on indicators, concrete data to compare where we are in the various trajectories. Also, we need to compare a bit the differences we have in our perception based on concrete examples and policies. So just to say that there is a work that goes beyond what we can do in the groups of friends. And for this, we need a dedicated space, a space where I would say technicians, experts come together with the, let's say, the ones that will use all this information, including policymakers, FAO members. And this is why at FAO, the members mandated FAO to work on or to create a global multi-stakeholder bioeconomy partnership. This is the one that Kaveh presented, the best. And we're very happy to see that this is taking a shape, actually, very quickly and very nicely. And we value this partnership because it's, as requested, multi-sectorial, interdisciplinary, and it brings in, or will bring in, once it's really operational, it should bring in various perspectives and expertise. So we're quite confident that by having that sort of space and platform over time, this will help us to develop really this sort of not just joint understanding, but also moving to working concretely on projects to see how we can fund in FAO and beyond work that promotes bioeconomy development in the various regions. And let me just also say that we think that the dialogue between the public and private sector that should be facilitated by BEST will help us also to converge ideas and initiatives that are going on at regional, national, and global levels. You have heard now many examples. And they're all in themselves, I would say, successful. But then when you get into comparing or discussing what they're doing, you still see that we're not always talking about the same things. In some regions, bioeconomy is perceived as being, let's say, just more bioenergy. In others, you get more into the industrial part. In others, it's only agriculture. So by connecting all these different initiatives, we think that it will help us really moving along to having a joint understanding and working together. And finally, to scale up already existing solutions while keeping innovating. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette, for this excellent intervention. Let me now request Uzbekistan to respond to the question. From your perspective, what types of support, whether technical, institutional, or financial, would be the most valuable from the BEST partnership to advance bioeconomy development in your country and in Central Asia more generally?
Thank you very much. Again, this is FAO's BEST partnership program is very, very key to initiate actually collaborations, partnership in the region and in the country, in nationwide. I would like to highlight three things. One, BEST can do for us. First is young generation agriculture and training. This is very important for Uzbekistan, big agriculture country, also the region, with so many problems, so many issues, but lots of resources. Resource management requires lots of new knowledge. That's why new generation agriculturalists understanding bioeconomy is very important. We took some initiatives ourselves in the country. For example, I have a competition, 50 young talents. Each year I just select, then with the help of FAO, I approached IFAT, I approached, they will have a chance to go get some training, hands-on training in their offices, at least see understand the policies. This could be one direction, young generation preparation, very key for within the BEST program for us, and probably my fellow Central Asian colleagues also confirm this. They need also the new generation specialists. Second, of course, scaling up what we already started. Biochar, I told you. Seed dormancy projects, I told you. Scaling up. In the country, we're doing our best scaling up, but regional-wise, bringing to other countries. For example, this morning I visited Tajikistan in the field, and I already contacted, and immediately they accepted. We now implementing shade avoidance technology that I'm doing in Uzbekistan. In this visit, I implemented with my fellow brother minister here. Immediately we implementing. But scaling up requires lots of funding, lots of partnership, and best could be doing this for us and for regional wise. Third, of course, was financing. All these initiatives, ready to use initiatives. First, we have to make a banks ready to make initiatives and offer. Somebody should present to each countries. And with the funding, of course, without funding, without financial resources, it will not fly. So there should be some bankable project help already. Each countries, European Union countries have a best practice ready to copy projects, and we do not know. Maybe this could be the kind of database or kind of initiative to propose us here, countries, and also have a kind of financial support. In that sense, I would like to have a best program, have a more dialogue with the carbon credit companies. We do not have a list, and we're struggling in Uzbekistan, actually. Lots of initiatives with carbon trading, but lots of difficult mechanisms. We have to simplify how to use this carbon credit mechanisms for each country, because it should have a country-wise national specific regulations, also global regulations. So this is another very good way of making partnership available for bioeconomy. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for these thoughtful suggestions. And finally, may I request Finland to respond to this question? Anna, please.
Thank you, Marilise. I will keep it quite short. I think what makes the partnership like FAO's BEST or other partnerships so powerful is that they bring everyone to the same table. They help countries learn from each other, and they connect the different sectors. As has been said many times, bioeconomy isn't just about agriculture or energy or industry, it's all of them. And so shortly, they bring together knowledge, coordination, finance, and people in a way that helps countries move faster and more effectively towards a sustainable bioeconomy. I think that's the power of the partnerships here. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you all for these forward-looking reflections. Given that it is getting rather late, I would propose that as a final short round, I ask each panelist to briefly share one key priority action that is most urgently needed to scale up the impact of bioeconomy approaches in agri-food system in this region. And may I start with you, please, Annette?
So it just got me by surprise. This was not in the script.
Shall I repeat? Shall I repeat?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So the ask is that you name one key priority action that you think is the most urgently needed to scale up the impact of bioeconomy approaches.
Yes. Okay. So since I'm coming now from this space and it's in FAO, I will start there with an action there. And in relation to the BEST initiative, so the EU, we of course very much ready to cooperate within the group of friends and the BEST with members and all of you basically to create this space where we first of all have a joint vision what the bioeconomy is. To me, this is key to be able to develop concrete projects. It sounds very trivial, but as long as for some, we had here examples, some focus a lot on genetics, on biotechnology, others would like to see forest biomass used in other ways. For some, it's only bioenergy. I think that as long as we have very different views, it will be difficult to, combine, to join forces. So for me, one major step is let's develop and try a vision where we understand each other what we mean, and then try and implement an initiative altogether.
Thank you, EU. I am turning to Germany. What would be one key priority action for you?
If I talk only for 1 minute, can I say two? Number one, as we are here, I would say to encourage Central Asian countries to join us in Rome, number one. And number two, to really develop the market, convince consumers. We haven't talked about consumers so much, but convince consumers to find a benefit, value added in bioeconomy products, and also, of course, further convince producers to go along.
Thank you. And Finland, what would your answer be?
Thank you. For me, the key priority would be clear policies that make it easier and safer to invest in the bioeconomy.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Honorable Minister, what is your key priority?
Yeah, very difficult question, but still, probably I'm thinking most important things for us to be open, share all the what we have knowledge on technology, and second, be accept whatever change is going on. Thank you.
So let me thank all the panelists for their thoughtful contributions and excellent discussions. Also want to thank the audience for their staying power and attention. To all of you, a big round of applause.